What's up, everyone? We are welcome again. Again, we have someone that you must have seen in our videos. Uh, this time, it is going to be a long conversation, not an interview, but a discussion, just to deep dive into his mind and what exactly he thinks of real estate industry and what it is like to be a developer and lead projects worth 1,000, 2,000 crores. So we'll dive deep today in his mind. And again, we have Mr. Bhupesh Nagrkoti. Thank you so much for joining in again, sir. It means a lot to me because I've been associated with you, been working with you, this brand from a very long time now. And someone as a 25-year-old kid, I can say this, that the respect, the love and the affection that we have felt is something that very difficult to replicate with every other builder that I have worked with. So that is very important, and this is the reason why I keep coming to you. So today we will deep down, we will just understand, sir, what exactly you think, and in between, if I say anything that you think you should not answer, you can just let me know. Be blatantly honest. So before we start, and I would like to know your journey, sir, where it all started, like from the scratch, sir.
Actually, my professional journey goes back almost a quarter of a century. Okay. It's been like 25 years now.
Okay.
So I started off as an IT consultant long back with Wipro Technologies. And out of these 25 years, my real estate journey has been of around 18 years now. And I'm grateful to God that, I maybe made the switch at the right time. Because in the last 2 decades, Indian real estate industry has seen some phenomenal changes. It is not the same market it used to be 10 years back, and it is of course not the same market it used to be 18 years back. Okay. So I think I made the switch at the right time, and because Indian real estate sector in general, infrastructure, was booming and it is still in its growth trajectory. So I think it has been a long journey, but I would say it has been very rewarding.
Okay. Yeah. So when you say 25 years of experience, that is exactly my age right now. Just can you tell me like few of the lows here when you started in real estate? You knew that you were going to make this big in real estate, or no? It wasn't like that.
See, whenever you start any journey, you're never sure, whether you would actually reach that destination or not. Yeah. But I had certain goals, and of course, there are moments when there is self-doubt.
Yes.
There are too many lows, because in the last 18 years, I have seen at least, two phases in real estate where the market was really down.
Absolutely.
But then I saw this trend that, every 7 to 8 years, there is a crest and a trough and, depression, and it comes back, bounces back. So this is the third, I would say, this is the third cycle I'm in terms of, real estate going up and down. So when it goes down, actually it gets very, very, it's a very high stakes game. Yeah. Because investments are huge.
Absolutely.
So even if you're, down by a few percentage, it actually amounts to a huge amount of money, and, you could suddenly be, looking at a huge liability. Absolutely. So of course there have been downs, but then from experience, how to, navigate through those times. And then, once you are able to, survive that downside, there is a huge upside to it.
Right.
So for example, people who, survived 2016 to 2019 or 20 for that matter, I think those, I'm not just talking about developers, I'm talking about generally people who are associated with real estate.
Right.
Whoever survived these 4 years, they have actually made good fortunes now.
Right.
Because they were mentally prepared, and they had the right mix of raw material, I would say, and learning, which they could, use and actually, reap benefits out of when the markets were up.
Right.
So people who survived, they're really doing very well right now.
Sir, actually, now when I look back, people who invested in 2016, 17, I used to live in this rented apartment in 2019, 18, 19. The owner was always cribbing. This is the worst decision of my life. Worst decision. Owning an apartment is, you should never do that. And all of a sudden, now when I talk to him in 2022, 2023, obviously properties now have doubled here in Noida. It has multifolded, right? So now it's like, see, Dharmveer, buying this apartment was always a dream, but brilliant investment. Maybe I was struggling a bit during that phase, but now I realize that real estate is just like every other investment instrument. You have to wait.
Yeah.
But because the stakes are so high, because you've invested 1 CR, 2 CR, 10 CR, it is all constantly revolving in your head.
Yeah.
So that is something.
Yeah, actually, what happens is that people are, it's just like the stock market.
Right.
If you are able to hold it long enough, you will always get returns.
That's correct.
Stock market is always in the plus in the long run. Sensex always goes up; it never goes down in the long run.
Yeah.
Similarly, but the problem is that because just as you mentioned, the amount of money involved, the ticket size is such that people get jittery.
Yeah.
यार 1 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट है, 2 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट है, ये खत्म तो नहीं हो जाएगा, डूब तो नहीं जाएगा, that kind of a thing people have in their mind. So they sometimes what they do is they take a wrong decision. Exactly, people who sold their properties in 2020, they are really regretting it.
Yeah, that's good.
And more so people who bought it in 2015 and sold it in 2020, they are regretting all the more. आपने 100 रुपए का चीज लिया 2020 में आपने 70 बेच दिया पैनिक करके. कोई इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट उसमें ऐड करूंगा तो इट शुड हैव बीन मे बी 140, आपने आधे पे बेच दिया उसको. नाउ सिंस देन द रेट्स हैव ऑलमोस्ट गॉन डबल.
Yeah, that's minimum actually, sir, currently.
So these are decisions that you have to take, and sometimes you end up on the wrong side of a decision. So it's like as you said, maybe your landlord was able to hold on to that property easily, he is now happy.
Yeah.
Otherwise उस time बेच दिया होता, he would still be doing यार बेच दिया गलत time पे. It's always like that.
That's correct, sir. That's correct, sir. This is something that I genuinely want to know. This is not for the camera, not for this interview, but ये genuinely question है मुझे ऐसे बार-बार पूछना था आपसे. What is your day like? Because when the stakes are so high, you are leading this huge project, Eye of Noida, right? I don't know how many thousands of crores that you have to invest, earn, profit, loss. What is your day like when you're leading such a huge project?
See, first of all, when you are leading a project which is worth maybe 1900 crore, 2000 crore,
Yeah.
and it has a lifespan of maybe say 3 years,
Right.
say 1000 days.
Right.
Let's keep it simple. So technically, I need 2 CR every day.
Oh, that's a brilliant breakdown.
So when I get up in the morning, I know that I have to sell stuff worth this much, get a collection worth this much, and actually put that money into my construction. So there is a complete cycle. If you miss out on any step in that cycle, suppose if I'm not able to generate that 2 CR on that particular day, on average I'm saying,
Obviously.
things will slow down. Or maybe if I get that 2 CR and I'm not able to put it into my construction at the right time, again things will go down. Because just understand very simple thing. If it's a 2000 CR project, if I delay my project by a year, there is an inflation cost of 8 to 10%. That itself is 200 CR.
Crazy.
So the repercussions of not managing your project well, they actually run into hundreds of crores. And this is just one project. So tomorrow, if I have maybe 3 projects, this could run into 5 to 600 CR, just a 1 year of delay. So every morning when you get up, there is a very stiff, focused target and a milestone that you have to achieve by the end of the evening. So that's how I start and that's how I end my day.
But see,
today I had to achieve and this.
But that is one crazy simplification that you gave, and this is just not done. इतना simplify करके बताया आपने. I lead a team of 200 people. I am serving as the chief operating officer at Inrext.com. Sir, मुझसे 200 लोग तो manage नहीं होते. You are managing 2000 करोड़ का project. And your simplicity is simple. मतलब you have made it very simple कि भाई 2 करोड़ रुपए दिन के बनने चाहिए. On an average अगर 30 दिन पे बैठ के बात करें तो that is insane, sir. It's simply. But sir, I'm sure कि वो जैसे ऐसे बहुत सारे दिन आते होंगे when there are consecutive days, you don't make that much money for 10, 15, 20 days.
Yes.
How do you feel in that situation?
See, first of all, we anticipate that there will be days like that.
Okay.
So we have our reserves. See, it's not like कि आज अगर आज का 2 करोड़ नहीं मिला तो आज कंस्ट्रक्शन रुक जाएगा. It kind of there is a buffer.
Right, sir.
Having said that, if there is a general downturn and there are not days, months of lesser sale, that definitely impacts project, and that's what causes projects to get delayed. And once you get into the vicious circle of a project getting slightly delayed, the profitability, forget profitability, मुनाफा तो आप छोड़ ही दो,
डिलीवरी
अगर आप 1 साल 1.5 साल आप डिले हो जाते हो, आपका प्रॉफिट खत्म हो जाता है, पहली चीज़, ठीक है। अगर आप फर्दर 1 आध साल और डिले हो गए तो आप फिर भी बच सकते हो, बिकॉज आपकी हो सकता है लैंड आपने अपनी जेब से दी है, तो नेट आप निकल जाओगे। इसके बियॉन्ड डिले हो गया, प्रोजेक्ट विल नेवर बी डिलीवर्ड, एंड बिकॉज यू डोंट, आप कितना पैसा डाल लोगे पॉकेट से, इज अ ह्यूज प्रोजेक्ट। मतलब आज अगर 20% भी लॉस हो गया, सो दैट मीन्स आई हैव टू पुट 400 CR आउट ऑफ माई ओन पॉकेट। सो यू हैव टू प्लान योर प्राइसिंग प्रोडक्ट इन अ वे दैट ये जो हमारा 2 करोड़ का टारगेट है वो मीट हो जाए हर रोज। उसके लिए आपकी प्राइसिंग सही होनी चाहिए। इफ़ यू ट्राई टू मेक टू मच प्रॉफिट, कि आज मैं महंगा बेच लेता हूँ एंड ठीक है प्रॉफिट ज़्यादा आ जाएगा, बट फिर सेल नहीं होगी, वॉल्यूम नहीं आएगा, देयर वुड बी नो सेल्स वेलोसिटी, सो यू विल अगेन एंड अप इन अ मेस। सो यू शुड हैव द राइट कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ प्राइसिंग, व्हाट प्रोडक्ट यू आर ऑफरिंग, सो दैट जो आपका टारगेट है वो पूरा हो जाए, माइलस्टोन आप अचीव कर लो।
सर, वाइल आप इसको आंसर कर रहे थे, यू आर आंसरिंग दिस क्वेश्चन, because I started my real estate career in 2017. It was a very slum time, right? It was tough for everyone. But my question now to you is, because I've seen the construction speed and I can clearly see what is exactly going on with an eye of Noida, and exactly what is happening with the way you are approaching your construction. It's insane, incredibly fast. But my question to you is, sir, then why a lot of developers failed? They failed big time in Noida, sir. What went wrong, sir?
See, these are very simple calculations, and sometimes a lot of developers actually they've not looked at their cash flow properly.
Okay.
I will give you 2-3 examples.
Yes.
Why developers fail.
Sure.
A lot of developers sell certain payment plans which would either fetch money before time or would not fetch money when it is required. So for instance, if I sell too much of my inventory in a down payment plan, I will have excess of reserves, cash reserves, and I might end up as a developer. Some developers actually did that because they had a surplus right now, which was actually meant to be used for the project,
Right.
that project itself. They actually, took new projects with that money because surplus है भाई अकाउंट में अभी आपके 400 करोड़ पड़ा है, अभी इस महीने कंस्ट्रक्शन में 40 करोड़ लगना है, so you are suddenly sitting on a cash surplus of 360 CR.
Right.
So you will start looking for a land or maybe some new project from the proceeds of this project, which is not right, because then you will you will end up messing up the cash flow. Similarly, there are certain payment plans sometimes due to pressure of sale. Sometimes developers come up with a payment plan where they don't get enough money to finish the product. I will give a very simple example. There is a very famous payment plan, 50-50. It means 50% I will take from the buyer right now, and 50% I will take on possession. यार इस पेमेंट प्लान में हाउ कैन यू डिलीवर अनटिल अनलेस योर प्रॉफिट इज 50%.
Right.
आपने 100 रुपये की चीज़ कहा 50 अभी दे दो, 50 आप मेरे को पोजीशन पे देना जब मैं बना दूंगा. अब 50 ही रुपये आपने लिए तो आप बनाओगे कैसे?
That's correct.
अनटिल अनलेस आपका 100 रुपये में 50 रुपये मार्जिन था, सारा पैसा आपको आज ही आ गया. विच इज नॉट द केस. 50% मार्जिन कहीं नहीं होता है, सो कभी नहीं बनेगा. आप फंस चुके हैं. आपने पेमेंट प्लान आपका जैसे फॉर इंस्टेंस we always prefer construction payment plan.
Crazy payment plans है आप लोग का.
We want
super strict.
हमें पहले भी मत दीजिए, बाद में मत दीजिए. हमें आप जब हम कंस्ट्रक्शन करेंगे तब दीजिए, because that's when I need the money.
मेरे इन्वेस्टर्स हैं ना सर, तो a lot of investors who invested here in your property, they constantly say कि भाई I'm getting a lot of messages that you have to make. मैंने बोला you should be so proud of the fact that you are getting so many messages for collection, because they are concerned about construction speed.
Yes.
And this is the reason why I appreciate the payment plan. A lot of people ask me, why should I pay 50% now? Then there is a simple explanation. Go see the construction update.
Yeah. In fact, 50% upfront is required anyways.
Right.
If you look at the land cost, there is the operating cost. Plus, there is a heavy construction cost upfront. When you are constructing any tower or any building, most of the construction, I would say, cost goes goes up to till the basement or ground level. After that, the construction cost reduces. So, and because you have to pay for land also, so 50% upfront is obviously a very genuine payment plan, I would say.
Right.
And after that, we of course, we charge in stages. So that's how it is.
Sir, there is something that a lot of people ask, post RERA एक escrow account होता है जहाँ पे पैसे जाते हैं. A lot of people understand, of course, not everybody understand, but I want you to break it down, sir. How does this work? Like,
see, to be honest, when RERA came and they came up with this theory that 70% should go into land and construction account, 30% you can use for your operating cost. It did not make much difference to us, because any which ways, when we used to get 100 rupees, we used to keep around 80-85 rupees for land and construction. So it did not make any difference to us. But yeah, it was good in a way that a lot of developers stopped diverting their funds, because any money that was coming, RERA was holding on to it. There was a lien of 70% marked on it. So any 100 rupees that I receive from a client, 70 rupees would be lying in that account and can be used only for purchase bills of material or labor cost or making land payments. So in a way that was good. And I believe after this post RERA, the number of defaults have also gone down.
That's absolutely true. So I was reading this. I think, especially in our market, Noida market, 90% projects that were launched post RERA, they are doing fine, sir.
Yeah.
On the verge of delivery.
There has been some policy level changes also that has also contributed. Before this 2020-21. The way the land used to get allotted to developers, it had a totally different payment scheme. So you give for 100 rupee land, you give a 10 rupees, and then you make installment that they go into.
What is it now, sir? Like, what is it now?
Now you have to pay 40% upfront.
Minimum. That's minimum.
Yes, 40 is minimum. There are also schemes where you have to pay the entire down payment in 3 months.
My goodness.
So which is good. I mean, if you're doing a project of that scale. See, if your land cost is suppose 300 CR and your construction cost is maybe 1500 CR on that. If you have to manage a 1800 CR project, you should at least have that 300 CR in your pocket.
Correct.
Because otherwise you will not be able to manage. I mean, why typically projects in Gurgaon, they have a lesser default rate?
Yeah.
It is because land is paid up. You have to pay upfront for the land, and then you get your maps approved from DTCP, Chandigarh. So chances of default, the major defaults in Noida, Greater Noida, were of land payments. Still there are many establishments, houses, offices where there is no registry because the land use are not clear.
I think, to be honest, now I understand. Now when you say major reason for defaults is the payment of the land, which is the initial phase of becoming a developer or starting a project.
Yes.
I never knew, sir. Like, I knew that it could be one of the reasons, but this is the biggest one.
Always is the biggest. I mean, if you don't have, that much of capital, I would say rather either you should scale down the project. भाई आपको 5 एकड़ का प्रोजेक्ट करना मत करो यार, आप 2 एकड़ का करो ना. But do it with at least initial phase का जो capital है.
Correct.
अगर आप वो भी नहीं डाल सकते, there is no point. This is a high capital game, very capital intensive. अगर आपके पास 100 रुपए में शुरू का 20-30 रुपए भी नहीं है, don't do it. You will end up, ruining the interest of those home buyers or investors, and you will also yourself end up in trouble later on. So it's always better to start things with your own capital, a good amount of capital.
Right. Crazy. Good revelation, sir. This is like a learning for me. मजा आ रहा है, sir. Let's sir, so few questions like whatever I could figure out. What is it that you think, sir, we can change in real estate? Like, there are a lot of things. You've been working in this industry for a while. You run this massive projects. I'm sure that your mind is constantly thinking, "Bhai, ये बदलना चाहिए यार. This needs to be changed."
Quite a few things actually, because I've been long back. I was in the corporate world also. And still, you know, a lot of our sector is unorganized.
That's correct. Fragmented, sir.
Very fragmented, unorganized, and you know, if you look at developers also, or channel partners, the if I have to make a pie chart of, you know, organized versus unorganized, I think it is heavily, you know, tilting towards unorganized, you know.
Still, sir. Still.
Yeah. Still. I mean,
2023, sir.
we are, you know, talking about India as a whole. I mean, there are channel partners or developers in smaller towns, people who are building floors on a you know, 100 gaj ka plot.
Yeah.
They are also part of industry.
Absolutely.
So it is still unorganized, and there are no, you know, ways or means which have, you know, ठीक है, RERA आ गया, it has helped, but still उसका जो impact है वो भी पहुंच रहा है लोगों तक, पहुंचा नहीं है. There is still a certain strata or section of society which feels कि यार, आज भी मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको, कुछ तबका ऐसा लोगों का जो सोचता है यार रियल एस्टेट में तो पता नहीं ऐसे ही लोग जाते हैं, या ये ब्रोकर हैं तो ये पता नहीं क्या है. It is unfortunately it is still not considered to be a, I should not use the word, very respectable profession.
Yeah.
Still.
My father used to tell me, sir, initially when I started, he was like, ये क्या कर रहा है? Brokerage? ये कौन करता है? This was what my parents used to think when I started, and now obviously things have changed. You're correct, sir. So this is two changes, sir. One question I think I have is related to RERA only. UP RERA is very strict, right, sir? Very, very strict. That I completely understand. But the problem with RERA is RERA is different in every state.
Yeah.
Norms are different, things are different. At any point, do you think, sir, काश RERA centralized होता, मतलब central government में होता, नहीं हो सकता?
Because there is a reason. The land is a state subject.
हाँ, okay.
तो land allocation या the way projects are approved, हर state के पास अलग right है.
अच्छा.
महाराष्ट्र में बिल्कुल अलग है रूल. कैसे लैंड मिलेगी, महाराष्ट्र में आपकी रजिस्ट्री पहले ही हो जाती है, आपने 10% पेमेंट दो, आपकी रजिस्ट्री हो जाएगी आज ही फ्लैट की. अब बाद में कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रही है. बैंगलोर में अलग रूल है, बिकॉज लैंड इज अ स्टेट सब्जेक्ट, सेंटर के अंडर आ ही नहीं सकता वो.
तो फिर सर इसकी वजह से आपको नहीं लगता RERA बहुत जगह बहुत कमज़ोर है, मतलब कुछ स्टेट्स में बहुत कमज़ोर है?
कमज़ोर नहीं है, मैं कहूँगा हाँ कुछ जगहों पर जहाँ पर डिफ़ॉल्ट ज़्यादा थे वहाँ थोड़ा देखिए RERA तो ऑलमोस्ट एक ही टाइम पे आया सब जगह.
हाँ.
अब आपने कहा यूपी RERA स्ट्रिक्ट हो गया, वो क्यों हुआ स्ट्रिक्ट, मैं उसका रीज़न बताता हूँ आपको. बिकॉज देयर वाज अ लर्निंग कर्व टू द RERA कमिटी ऑल्सो. जो RERA में लोग थे उनके लिए लर्निंग कर्व था. लर्निंग कर्व कैसा था कि जहाँ ज़्यादा डिफॉल्ट होंगे वहीं वो सीखेंगे, अरे यार ये गड़बड़ होगी, इसको एड्रेस करना है, अरे ये प्रॉब्लम हो गया, इसको ऐसे एड्रेस करना है. तो कहीं ना कहीं उनकी, क्योंकि डिफॉल्ट इतने ज़्यादा थे, लर्निंग प्रोजेक्ट्स भी ज़्यादा थे यूपी में. अब आपको राजस्थान का RERA, राजस्थान में प्रोजेक्ट्स कम है.
Absolutely.
आप सीखोगे वहीं. हरियाणा का RERA इज स्ट्रॉन्ग बिकॉज वहाँ बहुत प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं. मतलब पूरे हरियाणा में लॉट ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स. सो इट इज एक्चुअली डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू कितने आपने प्रोजेक्ट्स देख लिए, कितना आपने डिफॉल्ट देख लिया, तो उसी हिसाब से स्ट्रिक्ट होते हैं. तो नहीं यार पेनलाइज करो, ऐसे करो, इस केस में ऐसे करो, ये नहीं दे रहे पोजीशन, दैट वे दे हैव बिकम स्ट्रिक्ट. दे स्टार्टेड ऑफ एज सिमिलर बॉडीज बट some have grown teeth and some have not because शायद experience नहीं हुआ.
This was something that I wanted to ask. Now that I know कि because land एक state matter है, तो उसकी वजह से RERA can never be.
Jurisdiction हो ही नहीं सकता.
Okay. Sir, now because I'm in real estate, been in real estate from last 7 years now, good real estate firm, doing really good. But let's say now I want to pivot. Let's say I make enough money in next 5-6 years, and I want to pivot and I wish to become a developer. Right, I have this dream that one day I will have my project, not as big as this, but a project. What should be my first step, sir? Like first 5 steps.
First of all, as I said, you always start small. हमने भी ऐसे स्टार्ट नहीं किया सीधा कि पहले दिन ही 1800 करोड़ का प्रोजेक्ट. You have to always start small.
Okay.
A lot of developers in Noida, they started off as people who used to build floors.
Okay.
And these are some of the very big names. I'm not naming anyone, but these are some of the giants of this Noida, Great Noida industry today. They started off as small time builders जो जैसे 100 गज या 200 गज के प्लॉट पे 4 फ्लोर बना रहे हैं. Because है क्या, over a period of time that process is the same. आप 4 फ्लोर की बिल्डिंग बना रहे हैं या आप यहाँ 1800 करोड़ का प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं, प्रोसेस इज सेम. आपको कंस्ट्रक्शन मैनेज करनी है, आपको 4 यूनिट्स को बेचना है या 4000 यूनिट्स को बेचना है, आपको कैश फ्लो मैनेज करना है, किस किस स्टेज पे पैसे लेने हैं, कंस्ट्रक्शन की क्वालिटी कैसी रखनी है, अच्छी क्वालिटी का बनाएंगे तो अगली बार महंगा बिकेगा, गंदी क्वालिटी का बनाएंगे तो नहीं बिकेगा, लैंड आपने वो प्लॉट किस रेट लिया या मैंने इतना बड़ा प्लॉट किस रेट लिया, all those things, you should first try to develop a learning curve with a small scale project, because I mentioned earlier, sometimes if things go south, I mean the liabilities and the repercussions are huge.
It's a high capex business.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
I mean it could simply vanish. मतलब इसमें अगर आप थोड़ा जैसे हमारे this project, even a very small, very minute mistake में हमारे 10, 20, 30 करोड़ 50 करोड़ इधर उधर हो जाए. Don't get up. My advice is you should start small.
Right, sir.
And do it. Don't do it with any, sometimes what people do is कि जो पैसे आने हैं एंटिसिपेटेड हैं उससे प्रोजेक्ट करने की कोशिश करते हैं कि मैं जब ऐसे करूँगा फिर ये होगा, वहाँ से पैसे आएंगे, फिर ये करूँगा, यहाँ से पैसे आएंगे. ट्राई टू डू द फर्स्ट फ्यू प्रोजेक्ट विद योर ओन कैपिटल. अगर आप मार्केट में स्पेक्यूलेशन वाला गेम खेलेंगे कि चलो इतना पैसा इतना तो कर लूँगा, यू माइट एंड अप इन अ मेस. बहुत छोटा कर लो. मैं कह रहा हूँ आप छोड़ो, फ्लोर भी बहुत छोटा सा 50 गज का ले लो, वहाँ से स्टार्ट करो. डू इट विद योर कैपिटल. उसमें इमेजिन द वर्स्ट सिनेरियोज, बिल्कुल वर्स्ट वाले लिख लो एक कोने पे कि मैं 4 फ्लोर बना रहा हूँ, चारों नहीं बिकेंगे एंड तक. ठीक है. कंस्ट्रक्शन की मेरी कॉस्ट अगर मान लो इन्फ्लेशन 10% चल रहा है, आप पहले ही जोड़ लो 25% हो जाएगा इन्फ्लेशन इस साल. मतलब टेक ऑल वर्स्ट पॉसिबल फैक्टर्स, उसके बाद अपना टोटल करो कि भाई इतना पैसा मुझे चाहिए, उससे बनाओ. यू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम देखो तो ऊपर ही जाएगा.
So basically first 2 points is, one, you have to start small and do not build anything on anticipation of coming money. That is very important. And this is such an important point, sir, because a lot of builders that I have seen, they have done this.
Yeah.
They have done this.
See, the Noida, Great Noida particularly, people who I mean took these projects after paying 10%. It was an anticipated income on which they were betting.
Yeah.
कि यार ये आएगा, प्लॉट ले लिया, ऐसे बिकेगा, इतने रुपए का बिकेगा, ऐसे आएगा. जब वो ऐसे नहीं बिका, ऐसे नहीं हुआ तो everything crashed.
Sir, what was your forecasted worst scenario of this project or any project that you have been part of? You led the project. You must have the worst scenario. आप भी बनाते हैं.
Yes, of course.
What is the mindset like? What do you think that this will never be sold, right? This is the worst.
Of course, you have to start like that.
And then what do you function कि अभी फिर भी करना है?
Of course. उसमें देखिए ऑफ कोर्स सी अगर आज 1800 करोड़ का प्रोजेक्ट है तो मैं ऑब्वियसली ये एक्सट्रीम इमेजिन नहीं कर सकता कि पूरे 4 साल तक कुछ नहीं बिकेगा.
नहीं ऑब्वियसली
वो तो फिर सेंस ही नहीं बनता, फिर तो हम बर्बाद ही हो
फिर तो
जाएंगे.
करेंगे नहीं,
फिर तो प्रोजेक्ट ही क्यों
हम क्यों करेंगे सर, ऑब्वियसली बात.
बट हाँ ये होता है कि शुरू में हो सकता है मेरे को 3, 4, 5 महीने कुछ नहीं बिकेगा फॉर इंस्टेंस. ठीक है. अब मैं उस वर्स्ट को जब सोच लेता हूँ ना, यू नो हाउ इट हेल्प्स मी. अब मैंने देख लिया वर्स्ट कुछ नहीं बिकेगा, मैं कह रहा हूँ 5 महीने, एंड आई नो इट्स अ वेरी डेंजरस सिचुएशन टू बी. यार 5 महीने बिकेगा कैसे चलेगा, फिर कंस्ट्रक्शन लग जाएगी 200-400 करोड़ की एंड ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट है. सो इमेजिनिंग दैट वर्स्ट सिचुएशन, व्हाट आई डू इज maybe I keep my pricing right.
Yeah.
Maybe I try to give good features in my project जो उस प्राइस पॉइंट को बड़े अच्छे से सपोर्ट कर जाएं.
Justify sir.
तो यू ट्राई टू चेंज योर स्ट्रैटेजी देन कि भाई 5 महीने वर्सेस अभी थोड़ा सा रेट का हम बाद में बढ़ा लेंगे. योर स्ट्रैटेजी गेट्स टर्न्ड आउट ऑफ दैट वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियोस.
Brilliant.
तो वो अपने आप हो जाता है प्रोजेक्ट.
This is such a lovely insight sir कि वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो से इंसाइट निकालो.
बिल्कुल.
बहुत सही बात है. Brilliant sir. Sir, like in general, like if you have to give an opinion पूरे रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री का इंडिया में, what do you think about the industry sir? Do you think it's okay doing fine or do you think no? It's
see, as I said, things are getting organized now. You look at, I'm not talking about India, let's talk local maybe. Noida, Greater Noida.
yeah, sure.
If you actually look at the number of developers who are actually doing projects, they're only a handful.
Yeah.
आज से 7 या 8 साल पहले, if I would ask you कितने प्रोजेक्ट चल रहे हैं यहाँ पे, the answer would go into hundreds maybe. 150-200 प्रोजेक्ट चल रहे थे, इतने डेवलपर्स थे. Today there are a handful because people have given their mandate. वो आपसे चीज़ तभी लेंगे when they trust you कि डिफ़ॉल्ट नहीं होगा, एंड उनको प्राइस पॉइंट से ज़्यादा डिलीवरी और क्वालिटी कंसर्न है. So they don't mind spending a few extra rupees on a product that is better than something else. So अब there are a handful of people left. I think the entire real estate industry in India is going through a churn. वो जो पहले कहते हैं ना मंथन होकर वो निकलता था, something like that. एंड जो सर्वाइव कर रहे हैं अब रेरा के बाद, और ये सब अभी जो कोरोना हो गया ये सब इसके बाद सर्वाइव कर रहे हैं, दीज आर ओनली good developers. मतलब the ratio of defaulting developers versus developers who deliver is now heavily skewed towards people who are doing good, which is also showing in the way the industry, generally the pricing and investments are going up.
Absolutely.
And see, India in itself is such a huge market. There's such a huge potential for consumption of anything. I'm saying, I'm not talking about real estate. आप कुछ भी बेच रहे हैं, आप पानी की बोतल बेच रहे हैं तो वो भी करोड़ों का नंबर होता है जो बिकता है एक दिन में इंडिया में. माइंड बॉगलिंग. सेम वे इन्वेस्टमेंट्स इन रियल एस्टेट, दे विल अभी फॉर द मोमेंट आई डोंट सी एनी डाउन साइड. मतलब ये 3-4 साल तो कहीं नहीं गया, मतलब ये इट्स ऑन द अप. तो मुझे लगता है एनी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स पीपल आर मेकिंग टिल 2026, 27, 28 तक they will go up.
Okay.
उसके बाद you never know because there is slight dip, तो हाँ थोड़ा सा हो सकता है, could be a this thing.
Sir, एक question, this is my personal question. Everyone on social media you go, one advice that every real estate agent consultant is giving is you should never own a house. When I do the maths, fair enough. I don't know, sir. Like, I want to ask you this genuinely, sir. Be as honest and do it. Like, do you really think we should never own a house? Do you think it is that bad an idea, sir?
See, owning a house is not always about a ROI. There are, particularly in India, I'm telling you, and this will be there for quite some time. No matter how much maths you do and you try to, to prove the theory that being on a rental is always better than having your own house because the ROI is in favor of the rental property. No matter how much calculations or maths you do, I believe still owning a house is more of an emotion for people. So yeah, if you talk about having your first house where you plan to spend your life, you should definitely have one. If you're talking about a second house as an investment, then I would say I think that might not be that good an ROI in terms of the investment you are making, because rental returns are not very high. So okay, yeah, first house you should have, but from there on, if you have to do investment, you should actually be looking at some commercial investment.
That brings on to the next question, sir, that I get all the time, bhai, ki residential property mein invest karo, the rental yield is 2% to 3% pan India, right, sir? But don't you think, sir, this is a very wrong data that we are putting out? Don't you think we should categorize cities and say, let's say, bhai, city A जो है list है, उसमें ये rental yield है, because the problem is when I say rental yield 2-3% का है ना, anyone who is thinking of real estate, एक बार घर के लिए वो सोच भी रहा होगा ना, because if you buy a house here, if you own a flat in Noida, it is a very good investment. आज खरीद लो, बहुत अच्छे पैसे बनेंगे, 100% बनेंगे सर, appreciation in terms of, और रेंटल yield भी 2% नहीं है, अच्छी है सर, उससे कंपेरेटिवली बेटर है. बट डोंट यू थिंक सर डेटा को थोड़ा ढंग से प्रेजेंट करना चाहिए? पैन इंडिया में बात करना ना सर, फिर बहुत सारे शहर स्टेट काउंट हो जाते हैं.
See, actually, sometimes what happens is, data is always presented at a very macro granular level. So these are statistics you can't generalize. India is such a huge country. There could be places in India where your rental yield on houses or residential properties is more than commercial. There are places in India.
Yeah, I absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
So, for instance, if you know this place, there is a place in Pune, Aund.
Okay.
Very close to this Hinjewadi IT park. And since that was the only residential, I would say, suburb near that huge IT park,
Yeah.
the rentals for those houses were mind-boggling, and it was such a huge ROI.
Yeah.
It was much better than an office or
Shop.
close to a shop.
Close to a shop. Right.
बिकॉज घर अब दुकान में तो आदमी रह नहीं सकता भाई, रहेगा तो घर में. एंड इफ देयर आर सो मेनी पीपल, लाखों लोग वहाँ काम करते हैं आईटी पार्क में, और घर है लिमिटेड, तो नेचुरली वहाँ तो मतलब सो ऑफ कोर्स यू राइट,
कैटेगराइज करना चाहिए.
इट शुड बी विद इन अ सिटी ओनली, यू कैन हैव डिफरेंट कैटेगरी.
दैट्स करेक्ट.
सो दैट विल रिक्वायर फाइनल लेवल डिटेल, लोग अच्छे से स्टडी करें, थोड़ा सेक्टर वाइज सेक्टर लेवल पे हो.
क्योंकि सर मैं इन्वेस्टमेंट करने वाला हूँ, फॉर एग्जांपल मेरे को इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है और मुझे पता चलता है कि कल को मैं उस घर में नहीं रहूँगा. लेट्स से आई डोंट विश टू लिव इन द हाउस एनीमोर. The moment I see 2% ROI, rental yield 3% ROI, my God, I'm like, no, this is the worst investment that I can ever make. But the truth is not that exactly. I mean, you have to look at it from a point ki where are you buying? This is a very important question.
It always depends on the area, locality,
Right.
The catchment, kind of catchment is around it. So there is commercial catchment, residential rate वैसे बढ़ जाता है.
I had a trip to Patna, sir, recently. So my teammate lives there. It is insane. You're making more than 12% yearly. That's the rental yield.
Yeah.
You go to Jaipur, sir. The demand supply, insane. Office spaces in Jaipur, the new office spaces, 13 to 14,000 rupees per square feet is the selling price, right? BSP. There are places they're doing more than 12%, but nobody's talking about it because आपको macro level पे stat present करके हटा देना.
Yeah. True. That's true.
Great, sir. Sir, like, do you strongly recommend कि नहीं रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टमेंट करना चाहिए? मतलब एक होना चाहिए, मतलब इन्वेस्टमेंट होना चाहिए एक नॉर्मल इंडियन, जैसे मैं हूँ सर, आई मेक डिसेंट मनी.
See, investment objective क्या होता है? Investment का objective is to get a good ROI. I still see no asset class that matches real estate.
How do you sir, can you break it down?
आप कोई भी पुराना, आप 25-30 साल 40 साल का डेटा उठा के देख लो, आप 3-4 एसेट क्लासेस हैं. यू कुड आइदर इन्वेस्ट इन स्टॉक मार्केट, यू कुड आइदर इन्वेस्ट इन गोल्ड, पहले लोग करते थे, और यू कुड इन्वेस्ट इन रियल एस्टेट. ये 3 चलिए मेजर एसेट क्लासेस ले लेते हैं. अगर आप पिछले 30 साल का डेटा उठा लोगे, सेंसेक्स किस पॉइंट पे था, कहाँ पहुँचा, अच्छा ग्रो किया उसने, गोल्ड ने भी बहुत ग्रो किया, पर रियल एस्टेट जो 30 साल पहले था और आज है, मल्टीफोल्ड, आसपास भी नहीं एसेट क्लास कोई. Asset class, real estate as an asset class, it has always fetch more ROI than any other asset class.
When you say, because इसमें दो चीज़ें हैं, एक अप्रिसिएशन है और एक recurring rental yield है. सर आपको एक rental income भी है.
Yes.
So there are two incomes you are producing out of one property, one investment.
Exactly. आप मान लीजिए 30 साल पहले अपने मकान में भी रह रहे थे, रेंट नहीं भी मिल रहा, so there is opportunity cost to it. आपने रेंट बचा लिया ना.
Absolutely.
कहीं और रहते रेंट देते आप, तो वो सेविंग हुई, प्लस जो रेट बढ़ा 30 साल में, वो आप अनबीटेबल है, कैन कंपेयर.
सर अभी हीरानंदानी सर का मैंने पॉडकास्ट देखा था, वो राज शमानी एक बहुत बड़े यूट्यूबर हैं, तो वो बोलते हैं कि यू शुड ओन अ पीस, यू शुड ओन अ हाउस, बिकॉज कल को ऐसा होगा कि रेंटल इतना हाई हो जाएगा कि आप अफोर्ड ही नहीं कर पाओगे रहना. इज इट, डू यू थिंक सो? नहीं,
एक्चुअली
ये बहुत ट्रिकी, मुझे स्टेटमेंट समझ में नहीं आई.
मैं उसका रीज़न सही कह रहा हूँ. एक्चुअली हो क्या रहा है, जो हाउसिंग सेटलमेंट्स हैं वो सी देयर इज़ अ रीज़न. होता क्या है, जैसे आपको नोएडा के स्पेसिफिक सेक्टर में बहुत सारे घर मिल जाएंगे, और थोड़ा सा आप उनको कहोगे भाई 12 किलोमीटर आगे आप यमुना एक्सप्रेस चले जाओ, शायद लोगों एक थोड़ा सा एप्रीहेंशन रहता है, बिकॉज पीपल वांट, ट्रेडिशनली ह्यूमन काइंड वांट्स टू लिव इन अ कम्युनिटी, बहुत भीड़ भाड़ जहाँ हो, सारे कैचमेंट हो. नो वन वांट्स टू बी द फर्स्ट वन टू वेंचर आउट इन अ प्लेस विच इज़ आइसोलेटेड डेजर्ट. तो इस तरह के जो कैचमेंट्स हैं वो ना लिमिटेड होते जा रहे हैं. जो उनकी स्टेटमेंट थी क्या है, आज आप बैंड्रा चले जाओ फॉर इंस्टेंस, वहाँ पे लिमिटेड ही है ना एरिया, एंड पीपल्स कैपेसिटी, पेइंग कैपेसिटी इज गोइंग अप एंड अप. तो लाइक अ बिडिंग वॉर कि भैया मैं तो यही मकान लूंगा, आप मेरे से, कोई कहेगा 8 लाख रुपए रेंट ले लो, कोई कहेगा 10 लाख ले लो, and in the end the highest bidder will win.
So he's right.
Yeah, he's right.
Okay. Well, couple of questions and then we wrap up, sir. You've already mentioned like how tough it is to be a developer, and already answered the question was there in the queue, but like exactly how tough, sir? When you break it down, like you know, the worst is the project will not be delivered. But what is the daily problems like? What on daily basis there are some problems like what exactly? So if you have to get into the details कि भाई ये problem हो सकती है, वो problem, so that anyone who's watching and कि कल को developer बनेगा या बन रहा है already small scale पे कर रहा है, उसको क्या क्या ध्यान रखना चाहिए?
See, there are a lot of there's a lot of events that are unanticipated.
हाँ.
आपका एक रेगुलर आपने पैटर्न बना हुआ, आज ये होगा आज ये होगा, ठीक है, तो रेगुलर जो चल रहा है तो उसमें कुछ ज़्यादा it's not something not to stress too much about, but there are unprecedented events. जैसे पिछले 3-4-5 साल से ग्रैप गाइडलाइंस आ जाती हैं एंड कंस्ट्रक्शन रुक जाता है सडनली. Now my problem is I have 2,000 workers working for me.
That's correct, sir. Huge.
अब मान लीजिए पोल्यूशन का लेवल AQI ऐसा हुआ कि उन्होंने कहा अथॉरिटीज़ ने कि 2 दिन के लिए आप काम बंद करिए या 5 दिन के लिए बंद करिए. नाउ आई कांट टेल माई वर्कर्स कि भैया आपका 5 दिन का ब्रेक हो गया. ऑलमोस्ट लाइक डेली वेज. मेरी कॉस्ट बढ़ गई 1 प्लस मेरा एवरी ईयर अगर मैं ऐसे ही 1 महीना वेस्ट कर दूंगा, हो जाता है इतना. मैंने जो देखा भी NGT गाइडलाइंस आ जाती हैं, ठीक है, दे आर राइट ऑल्सो, आई एम नॉट सेइंग NGT इज रॉन्ग और एजेंसी इज रॉन्ग. भी पोल्यूशन लेवल्स हैं, दे आर टेकिंग देयर ओन मेजर्स. माय प्रॉब्लम इज दैट एवरी ईयर इफ आई लूज 1.5 मंथ, 3 या 4 साल के प्रोजेक्ट में 6 महीने पीछे हो जाता हूँ.
Makes sense.
एंड इट इंक्रीजेस टू माई कॉस्ट. इट ऑल्सो puts me at the risk of project getting delayed, and if the project gets delayed there are severe penalties.
Right.
Sometimes because of the market situation, I'm talking about some other point now, because of the market situation, the project, during the project duration, the sales starts off very well and मतलब प्रोजेक्ट के दौरान ही मार्केट में थोड़ा सा स्लम्प आना शुरू हो गया. नाउ देयर इज अ कैश 22 सिचुएशन. आपने कोई चीज़ 10,000 रुपीज़ की बेची एंड यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग 2 साल बाद वो 13, 14, 15 की हो जाएगी. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ मार्केट स्लम्प अब वो 10,000 का प्राइस भी सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा मार्केट. अब इसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम होगा मुझे? 1, अगर रेट बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं बढ़ा होगा, एक तो जो पुराने इन्वेस्टर्स हैं दे विल स्टार्ट बॉदरिंग मी कि बॉस आई वांट माय रिफंड और व्हाटएवर, आई वांट एग्जिट. पीपल आर पैनिकिंग और मेरा पास नया माल नहीं बिक रहा है. So I am also in a financial crisis. इसीलिए I always say you try to finish your project जितना जल्दी हो सके, because you never know market वो कहते हैं ना किस करवट बैठेगा आपको पता नहीं है. अगर आप एक प्रोजेक्ट को 6 साल तक करते रहेंगे देयर इज अ ह्यूज चांस कि बीच में स्लम्प भी आ जाए, आप फंस जाएंगे.
आ सकते हैं सर, आता है.
सो दीज आर सर्टेन मार्केट कंडीशंस, आई वुड से सर्टेन फैक्टर्स जो आप प्लान करके नहीं चल सकते कब क्या होगा.
राइट सर. Final question, sir. Actually, just 2 more questions. One is to sir, because a lot of people are going to watch this. इतने सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स जो नहीं बन रहे हैं सर, लाइक आई थिंक बिल्डर्स दे इधर डिफॉल्टेड, बैंक्रप्सी. जिन्होंने घर खरीदा सर 50 लाख, 60 लाख, 1 करोड़ रुपए, 2 करोड़ रुपए का, और उन्हें 4, 5, 6 साल, 8 साल से वो घर मिला ही नहीं अभी तक. सर क्या वो मिलेगा कभी? उसका सोल्यूशन क्या है?
देखिए, सी द गवर्नमेंट इज ऑलरेडी टेकिंग अ लॉट ऑफ मेजर्स एंड सॉल्यूशन देखिए निकालना ही पड़ेगा इन द एंड, बिकॉज देयर आर लॉट ऑफ होम बायर्स सफरिंग, राइट. दे पुट अ लॉट ऑफ
देयर एंटायर
हार्ट, मनी, सोल, एवरीथिंग, ड्रीम्स, सब कुछ डाल दिया उन्होंने उस पर. अभी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से कुछ रिकमेंडेशंस भी आई हैं, पर्टिकुलरली नोएडा, ग्रेटर नोएडा के लेके, बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ डिफॉल्ट हैज हैपेंड हियर. तो उसमें कुछ इस तरह की बात की जा रही है कि शायद रजिस्ट्रीज खोल दी जाए मकानों की एंड डी लिंकिंग इट टू द लैंड पेमेंट. सो दैट वुड बी बिग रिलीफ, बिकॉज रजिस्ट्रीज जब खुल जाती हैं तो जिन प्रॉपर्टीज़ पे लोन नहीं हो रहा तो बैंक्स लोन देना शुरू कर देते हैं. सो सडनली यू इफ यू ट्राइंग टू एग्जिट you can take an exit also. A lot of properties where possession has happened but they are unregistered, they are selling at a 30% discount in the market.
That's correct, sir.
और रजिस्ट्री होती सडनली 30% रेट बढ़ेगा, सो दैट वुड बी अ गुड रिटर्न फॉर पीपल. तो गवर्नमेंट इज लुकिंग इनटू दोज रिकमेंडेशंस, बट आई थिंक हो जाएगा इसका सोल्यूशन.
कुछ बिल्डिंग्स that I see around, sir, I look at it and I'm like, bro, this cannot be delivered.
See, I tell you, उसमें भी there are provisions. See, until unless the default is to the tune that अब कुछ भी करके कुछ नहीं हो सकता.
Okay.
कि आपकी इन्वेंट्री भी खत्म हो गई है, आपके पास पैसे जो पहले आए थे वो भी यूज हो गए हैं.
Okay.
ऐसी सिचुएशन में फिर तो कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता.
तो सर जिन्होंने खरीदा उनको अब
See, there are measures गवर्नमेंट इज टेकिंग, बट वो पूरे नहीं पड़ते कई बार, बिकॉज वो क्या होता है कि आप डेवलपर को लिक्विडेट कर देंगे, बट उसके पास हो सकता है एसेट्स हो ही ना, हाउ वुड ही पे बैक. सो उस केसेस में गवर्नमेंट माइट टेक ओवर, जैसे एनबीसीसी ने किया था पीछे, एंड दे पुट इन देयर मनी एंड दे कंप्लीटेड प्रोजेक्ट एंड दे समहाउ ट्राइड टू बैलेंस की अनसोल्ड इन्वेंट्रीज को लिक्विडेट करके हम वहाँ से उस फंड फ्लो गैप को पूरा कर देंगे. सो देयर आर मेजर्स दैट गवर्नमेंट, कई बार दे ट्राई टू ब्रिंग इन अ को डेवलपर कि चलिए ये डेवलपर ने टेक ओवर कर लिया इन एसेट्स को, एंड दे ट्राई टू डिलीवर. So there are measures government is taking. Definitely, I believe people will be getting a solution for it, because it's been a long time, and I think they should get their due.
Absolutely, sir. I cannot thank you enough. First of all, this was one insightful session discussion with you. I mean, the learnings that I have had, and I will meet you in future and learn more as much as I can. But this was one insightful discussion with you. I'm sure that this is not only going to help real estate agents or buyers, but this will help everyone who thinks of real estate in a certain way. And I hope we change the perception that you said of real estate, and we make this a very flourishing career. That is very important, sir. Sir, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, sir. Please take care. Thank you so much. Thank you.